Today I'll be interviewing Emmy Noether.
Hello. Hello.
Could you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Emmy Noether. I was born in Erlangen, in Germany that is, in 1882. And my father was Max Noether, who was a very famous mathematician who made a lot of very important discoveries. And I myself was also a very important female mathematician. I did a lot of work on the theory of invariance, which had a great influence on Einstein's general theory of relativity. And the theory of invariance had a lot to do with polynomials. So you've got this long equation here, and it was all very complicated. So yeah, I did a lot of research on that.
Did mathematics play an important role in your childhood?
No, because I wasn't given the same privileges as when my brother Fritz was. I was taught more traditional skills like cooking, cleaning, playing the piano, French and English by my mother. And then at the age of 18 I decided that I did actually want to pursue my career in maths at the University of Erlangen, where my dad was also a professor and where my brother was a student. Because I was a woman, I wasn't actually allowed to go be in the classes formally. I was only allowed to audit, which means to kind of take part informally and make sure that everything's going alright. But with a lot of determination and strong work, I did still manage to take the exam to become a doctorate student 2 years later.
Very interesting. After that?
I tried to become a teacher at the same university that my dad was teaching at, but they wouldn't take me because I was a woman. So instead I started doing some research at the Mathematics Institute in Erlangen, and I did also teach for my father's classes when he was sick or when he couldn't for some particular reason. And I also began publishing my own papers with my research on different mathematical theories.
What point did you actually start getting paid for your work?
Well, after World War I, the German monarchy became a republic, as some of you might know, and even though us women gained many rights, like the right to vote, I still wasn't paid for my teaching, and there were still a lot of things wrong with the rights that women had. So my real breakthrough came in 1919, when some people at the Mathematics University of Göttingen, who were trying to define one of Einstein's theories, actually asked me to come and join them and help them. And at first I was quite unsure because I knew that a lot of the staff there didn't really want me because I was a woman. But I did eventually join, and I enjoyed it a lot. And 3 years later I then finally got a proper job there as a lecturer, and yeah, I was paid for that, and I had students coming from as far as Russia to learn with me, so I was very proud of the fact that my teaching was helping so many students.
You didn't stay there for long, did you?
No, in 1933, that was when Nazis came to power, I was forced to leave along with my family because we were Jewish, and I decided to go to Bryn Mawr College, where I was offered a job, which is in Pennsylvania. In the US, and I taught there until my death in 1953. Oh, I forgot that the college I went to was also a women's college. It's quite important to know. And yeah, I taught there until my death in 1953, but yeah, I'm very happy with what I accomplished in my life until then. A lot of my students became very great mathematicians and credit me with their success, which is always nice to hear. I made a lot of observations in algebra, which were very important because I was quite good at seeing relationships between things that other people couldn't see. And yeah, I published over 40 papers on my mathematical ideas, and I inspired a lot of my students to also make really great contributions to mathematics. So yeah.
This was an interview with Emmy Noether. Thank you for your interview. So we have an interview with Hypatia.
Hello.
Hello. So Hypatia, tell me a bit about yourself.
So I lived around 370 to 415 AD. It's not really completely sure when. And I was the daughter of Theon, who was one of the most educated men in Alexandria, in Egypt, where I come from. And I am a mathematician, scientist, so astronomy and astrology, and a philosopher. And I was raised in a world of education.
What did you learn from your father?
Well, my father Theon was a scholar, and he was a very well-known mathematician too, at the University of Alexandria. And we had a very strong bond. I shared his passion for answers to the unknown, and he taught me all his knowledge. He taught me a lot about other religions, so I became a person who knew a lot about everything, and he also taught me a lot about how to use my words to change the world. From him I also learned how to teach, which was very useful because it enabled me to teach people that came from other cities to learn the knowledge that I'd acquired from my father and to pass it on.
What kind of work did you do?
Primarily I worked on the conic sections, which were created by a man named Apollonius, who was a Greek philosopher born around 15 AD. And the conics of Apollonius basically divide a cone into different parts by a plane. So here you've got the ellipse up here. This is quite a rough drawing, but got the ellipse, then the parabola is this one here, and then you've got the hyperbola right here. Yeah. And yeah, these ideas of parabolas, hyperbolas, and ellipses made them a lot easier to understand for people in general, which really helped kind of carry these concepts through time. So Apollonius defined a cone as a shape created by considering all lines in a space that pass through a fixed circle and a fixed point, so the vertex, that is not in the plane of this circle.
So did you make any of your own inventions?
Well, my most famous student, Cineas of Cyrene, who is later known as the Bishop of Ptolemy, credits me with creating the astrolabe in some of his letters. The astrolabe is an ancient astronomical device which is used to solve problems relating to time and the position of the sun and stars in the sky. But there's a bit of a question mark about whether I actually invented that, because apparently it did already exist before. I was also credited by this Cineas of Cyrene to making the planisphere, which is also a astronomical device. And also I invented some instruments for distilling water and measuring levels of water.
How did your life end?
Well, at the time when I was living in Alexandria, there was a lot of tension between religions, so Christianity and other religions. And I was friends with a man who was involved in a particular riot. And because of that, I guess people found out about me, and I was walking home one day and a mob of people attacked me. They stripped me, they then killed me using pieces of broken pottery, and then they dragged my body through the streets. So I did die quite a violent death, but my life was definitely full of extraordinary accomplishments. Later, people like Descartes, Newton or Leibniz used my ideas to base some of their theories on, and yeah, I'm considered the first woman in mathematics ever, so that's really a great accomplishment to have made.
This was an interview with Hypatia. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, my pleasure.